Hello, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. I'm Gabby, if you didn't know, now you know, and today I have a super exciting video, probably my most requested video ever, and today I'm going to be showing you my at-home stretching tutorial. You guys have seriously been asking for this video forever, and I feel like there's no better time than right now when we're all stuck inside with, honestly, like nothing to do. No gyms are open, no one's having practices, so it's the perfect time to not just like sit at home, be lazy, watch TV, but instead try to be productive and make something good come out of this break. So these stretches are good for beginners, intermediate, advanced, however you are with flexibility, because pretty much every single stretch can be modified to what you need it to be. These are the exact stretches I used about 7 or 8 years ago. I spent every single day for an entire month in the summer stretching, because I've always been like somewhat flexible, but definitely not to the point of where I'm at right now. So I repeated these stretches every single day. I promise it'll make a difference if you just keep doing it over and over. There's really no secret to flexibility other than just stretching. So before we get into the actual stretches, I do want to say something real quick, and that is that there is a huge difference between discomfort and pain while stretching. Obviously, when you're stretching, it shouldn't be completely comfortable. It shouldn't just feel like nothing's happening. You should definitely feel a little bit of discomfort wherever the stretch is happening. That way you know that like your body's actually stretching. But you should not feel physical pain. So if at any point during these stretches you feel an actual pain, stop doing that stretch and don't do any more until that goes away. And last thing, don't ever start stretching on a cold body. So if you need to go for a jog, do some jumping jacks, do something to warm up your body before we get into it, and it's gonna make a huge difference if you're actually stretching a warm body with warm muscles over just like a cold body where it's very tense. So with that being said, that's everything I want to mention, and let's just get into the video. We're gonna start with some basic stretches. These you can hold anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute depending on how flexible you already are. If you're more of a beginner, definitely go more towards the minute side because these are gonna be very beneficial for you. But if you're already pretty flexible, you're probably not gonna feel these very much, so only do it for like 30 seconds just to warm you up. So we're gonna start sitting in a straddle, both toes pointed, and we're just gonna go down to one side. You can either go down like this with your chest down, you can do one arm over, pretty much however you prefer, or do both of them because they kind of stretch different ways. But just go ahead and hold that until you feel like you're stretched out. And then we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. And now we're gonna go down to the middle. When you do this stretch, you really wanna make sure that your knees and toes are not just like rolling forward as you go forward. So what I like to do is I like to push them back, but just go ahead and stretch forward. And then from there, just go ahead and bring your legs in to a butterfly. Now when we do this, you want your heels to be as close in as they can. You want to push down on your knees. You can either do that with your hands, you can push down with your elbows, or if you have a friend or a mom at home with you, they can also help push you down, which makes it a little bit easier. Well, not easier in the sense that it's going to be harder, it's going to make it stretch more, but easier that you're not going to have to push down on yourself. So then push down, and you're going to stretch all the way down forward. Once that feels stretched, you're just going to walk your feet out a little bit away from you and do the same thing again. And then walk them out a little bit more. And then go ahead and go all the way into a pike. Now first we're going to start in a pike with pointed toes, and you're just going to stretch all the way down forward. Then you're going to flex your feet, grab them, pull them off the ground. If you don't feel this one, which I don't feel it too much, go ahead and bend your arms down, and you're definitely going to feel it then. And now we're going to go into some shoulder stretches. So you're going to start fingertips pointing towards you. Scoot that butt forward and bend those shoulders back. A lot of the times people skip right over shoulder stretches because they don't think it's an actual important stretch like everything else is. But shoulder flexibility is actually huge for scorpions, needles, especially kick-ups. A lot of the times why people can't actually catch their foot is because their shoulders are lacking that flexibility to be able to grab it. And shoulder flexibility is huge in tumbling too, so it's always important just to stretch out those shoulders. So now we're going to turn our hands the other way. You want to keep your pinkies as close as you can together and walk your hands all the way back. Also, these just feel so good. They're like one of my favorite stretches to do ever. So make sure you're definitely stretching out those shoulders. Good, now from there, you're gonna flip around and lay on your stomach and just arch up. Seal stretch, mermaid stretch, whatever you wanna call this. Just start stretching out that back. And I already feel that my back needs to crack like really bad, it feels stuck. So one of my favorite things to do is just lay on your stomach. Oh yeah, roll one leg over. And you'll feel a pop. It feels so good. But my range of motion is already like, that's a huge difference. Just because my back was literally stuck before. So I'm no chiropractor, but definitely crack your back if you need to. Good, now once your back is warmed up, we're gonna go into back bends. So there's two different variations of back bends that we're gonna do. The first one, you're gonna keep your feet together. You're gonna try to lock out your legs and push back through your shoulders. Then always like roll it out, rock it out, whatever you gotta do so your back doesn't get stuck. And now the other one we're gonna do is we're gonna try to walk our hands into our feet as far as we possibly can, just to get a much deeper stretch up and down your entire back. Now we're gonna get into stretching our actual splits. These ones you should hold for a minute each, no matter how flexible you are, because these are definitely the ones that are gonna start benefiting you more and actually really stretch out those muscles. So we're gonna start with the right leg and we are going to get into a lunge. So when you're in a lunge, you wanna make sure that your knee is directly over your heel. You don't want it to be like this, or you don't want it to be too far out this way. Perfectly straight up and down, and you wanna focus on pushing those hips into the ground. You can put your hands wherever you feel that they work best. Just make sure you're really stretching out this hip right here, pushing it into the ground. Then after that, you're gonna sit back on the back foot, front leg perfectly straight, and you're just gonna stretch down forward. And then you're gonna stand up, both legs straight with that front foot still in front. One hand on each side of the leg. You're gonna walk your hands back as far as you can go. And then from there, you're gonna slide into your split, but you want to keep the back foot flexed, back leg straight and off the ground, but front leg like normal. Then you're gonna point that back foot out, bend the front leg up slightly, not as much as a lunge, and you wanna try to keep your hips on the ground if you still can. And then just bend that front leg up as much as you can while still keeping those hips down. And then after you hold that for a minute, you're gonna slide into a normal split. Back leg just turned under, front leg straight up, and you're gonna stretch all the way down forward. While you're in splits, you wanna make sure that you're not favoring one side or the other, because then you're not gonna stretch the right muscles that you need specifically for body positions. So make sure that hip is completely on the ground. Then from there, we're gonna do a bow and arrow stretch. If you're on the right leg, your right arm and right shoulder is gonna come over, go on the ground, left arm's gonna reach over. Then after that, back up to the normal split, and you're gonna arch back. You can either just start with walking those hands back, or if you're more flexible, go ahead and reach all the way up and over. And now we're gonna repeat all of those on the other leg. So go ahead and switch legs, and we are going to start with the lunge. Again, keeping that knee directly above the heel, pushing those hips into the ground. Then from there, back foot under, front leg straight, stretch all the way down. And then stand up, both legs straight, walk those hands back as far as they can go. Sliding into that split, keeping that back foot flexed, back leg straight and off the ground. And then pointing that back toe, bending the front leg up. It's really important in stretching, even if you have one good leg, one bad leg, or if you're a flyer and you only really use one leg, it's really important to constantly keep stretching both legs. We're gonna slide back into that split and stretch all the way forward. It helps prevent a lot of back pain and pain everywhere else, because if you're only stretching one side, your back or whatever you're stretching is gonna come super like uneven with one side way stronger than the other. So it's always important to stretch both sides and everything. And now we're gonna do the bow and arrow stretch. Left arm, left shoulder, down on the ground. Right arm stretching over. And last stretch in this split. Arch it back. Good, now we're gonna do an overstraddle, a middle split, whatever you wanna call it. If you're more of a beginner, go ahead and start from a standing position. You wanna make sure when you slide down, from this heel all the way through your hips, all the way down to the other heel, is in a perfect straight line. So then just go ahead, slide down as far as you can. Now we're gonna be getting into over splits on a higher surface, just so you're getting a deeper stretch than what a normal split can do. And go ahead and find whatever you have around the house. I'm using couch cushions. You can stack up books. You can use a pillow if you're more of a beginner, so that way you're lower to the ground. Or if you're really advanced, you can just use the actual couch and put your leg all the way up there. Just get whatever you find. I wanted to make sure that this was like strictly an at-home tutorial and I wasn't using any other products or anything that you would need to buy, and you can use everything that you have already laying around the house. So we're gonna start with the right leg. Just put that front leg up onto the surface, slide into that split. Your height should be about where it's like uncomfortable for your hips to be laying on the ground, but they can do it. And then we're gonna do the same stretches that we did in a normal split. So you're gonna go ahead and stretch forward for a little bit. And then we're gonna do the same thing with bow and arrow, one arm down, one arm over. And then we're gonna arch it back. Again, you should be holding those ones for about a minute as well. And now we're gonna repeat all of those on the other side. Stretching down forward first. And then going into that bow and arrow stretch. And arching it back. So now we're also gonna do a deeper stretch for an overstraddle, and I just put one cushion on each side and just slide into that overstraddle like normal, and you're gonna feel a much deeper stretch because your hips have way lower to go now. So now this next stretch, I have no idea what to call it, but if someone asked me what the one stretch is that made a huge difference, it would be this. So you're gonna start in a split, but your front leg is gonna be completely bent, and then you're also gonna bend your back leg. You're gonna reach down, and then just pull yourself down your leg as far as you can go. And I feel like that just stretches exactly how your back needs to stretch in a needle. So it just gets you really warmed up and ready. And now we're gonna do the other side, even though this one's gonna be nowhere near as close as the last one. Before we get into more body position specific stretches, we're gonna do some kicks just to warm up those legs even more. So you're gonna start laying on your back, starting with the right leg, just kicking straight up and down, and do this 10 times each leg. You wanna make sure that you're kicking really hard up, but then really slow down and you're not slamming the ground. And then go ahead and do the same thing on the other leg. So you're gonna do 10 to the front, and then you're gonna turn to the side and go up on your elbow, and do 10 like this, and then do the same thing on the other side, 10 as well in this position. Then you're gonna go up on your knees and do 10 to the back. I like to do the first 5 with straight legs, and then the last 5 with bent legs. And again, repeating that on the other leg as well. And now we're gonna head over to any door frame, and we're gonna stretch out those body positions even more. So go ahead and stand in between a door frame. If you've never heard of this, you might think this is really weird and have no idea where this is going. But the width of a door frame is actually like the perfect width to be able to really push into those body positions if you don't have anyone else that helps like push your leg and helps you stretch. So the ways are gonna work: if you're more flexible, you're gonna move your bottom leg away from the door that you're stretching on, And if you're less flexible, more of a beginner, you're gonna move that bottom leg all the way into the door so it's less of a stretch. So we're gonna start just putting one leg up on the door, and you're just gonna use the other side to push into that stretch. These you can hold for probably about a minute as well, or just until you really feel that deep stretch. Then we're also gonna grab a bow and arrow and push in that way. And we're gonna do the same thing on the other leg. And then grabbing that bow and arrow and pushing in. Now you're gonna face in between the door and do the same thing. So one leg up, and this time you're gonna use, I don't know what this part of the door is called, but the little ledge to pull yourself all the way in. And then you're gonna repeat on the other leg. And now for back flexibility, you're gonna face the opposite way. Pretty much gonna start by just like grabbing a scale, putting that leg up on the door, and pushing yourself back. You can even grab that one back there just to help pull even closer to your leg. And then we're gonna do the other side. And those will be all the stretches that we're gonna do before we get into actual body positions. So if there's anything else you feel didn't get a deep enough stretch or that you need to do, go ahead and do that right now. Now we're gonna get into pulling actual body positions. So if you have ankle weights, now would be the perfect time to put those on, get a few reps with them, and then take them off, and you're gonna see a huge difference. If not, then just go ahead and do normal body positions. Repeat them, I would say anywhere from like 5 to 10 times each leg, pulling them harder and harder every single time you do it. So we're gonna start with right leg on the ground and just kick up a heel stretch. Now with the heel stretch, if you wanna try to pull it up more, you do not wanna bend that arm in. This is not how you pull up a heel stretch. You wanna actually like sink into your hips and pull it up by just pulling with your shoulder. Don't bend that arm. And then also when you're in heel stretch, don't pull up with your shoulders like this. You wanna relax your shoulders down, and if anything, lift that chin up. You also wanna make sure that the bottom of your leg is facing the front and your heel stretch is not to the side like that. And then we're just gonna repeat that one on the other leg. And now we're gonna get into bow and arrows and free stretches. There's really not any tips and tricks or techniques with these because I feel like a bunch of gyms do these differently. So go ahead and do it however you're used to, but just make sure you're really pulling that, trying to get a good stretch. And same thing with the other leg. And now we're gonna move to back flexibility. I always like to start off with a scale first. Just start warming up the back before we really pull a needle. So go ahead and pull that scale up. You wanna lock that back leg out at all times if possible. So if you have to, go ahead and grab lower down on your leg. Even if you're out there, at least have the technique of a locked leg and not like that. And then the more flexible you get, the closer to your foot you can grab to pull up. And now we're gonna get into arabesques. The trick of an arabesque is to squeeze literally every single muscle in that leg. So yeah, your leg is perfectly straight, your toes pointed, and the way to lift up an arabesque is it's gonna come from this muscle in the back right here. And now we're gonna do scorpion needles, whatever you have. Go ahead, you can kick it up, you can grab it however you're used to, and just stretch that out. And now we're gonna repeat all of those on the other side. So go ahead, start with scale. And arabesque. And a scorpion as well. Even if it's not as good, you have to stretch it. And like I said, go ahead and repeat all of those like 5 to 10 times. And now's the perfect time to record, take a picture, and I want to see if you guys are using this video to help you guys out, so definitely tag me in those. So we're almost done, but we're just gonna wrap this video up with some conditioning to strengthen those muscles that you're using, because flexibility and strength definitely go hand in hand, especially in flying. And to be able to lift, like I said, in arabesque, you have to be able to squeeze that back muscle, so you also have to be able to strengthen that back muscle. So we're gonna start with leg circles. You're gonna sit in a straddle, one hand on each side of your leg, and nice and slow and controlled. You're gonna do 10 circles, one leg, 10 circles the other leg, and then with your hands in front, you're gonna do 10 circles both legs at the same time. Then after that, we're gonna strengthen out that back, so we're gonna do some Supermans. So you're gonna lay on your stomach, toes pointed, arms up by your ears, and nice and slow, you're gonna go up and down. You're gonna do those 20 times. You're definitely gonna feel a pinch in your back, but it's gonna be the exact same feeling as lifting an arabesque. Go ahead and find something that's about waist high or a little bit below waist high. You can use a couch, a chair, whatever you have, and we're gonna do kicks. But these, you're gonna start with your leg up, squeezing literally everything in your body. And nice control, you're just gonna lift your leg up and down. Do 10 of those to the front, each leg, and then you're gonna turn to the side, but with your toe and your knee still facing the ceiling, arms down, and you're gonna do 10, lifting up. Again, nice and controlled. Now after that, each leg, you're gonna do the same thing to the back, mimicking that arabesque feeling, squeezing and controlling, nice and slow, 10 times each leg. And that is gonna be everything for the video. That is the exact stretching routine that I used to get to where I am today. It's not gonna happen overnight, but I promise if you repeat these over and over, literally every single day for like a month, 2 months, you're gonna see a huge difference. I wanna see if this video helped you guys out, so if you take any pictures while you're doing body positions, make sure to tag me in them on Instagram stories, wherever you're posting them. I really wanna see them. And if you have any other additional questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments below, and I'm gonna do my absolute best to answer all of them. I hope you guys enjoyed this very long awaited video. I'm so happy that I'm finally filming this, and I'm hoping that it'll help you guys out. Make sure to give this video a big like, comment down below, subscribe, turn post notifications on, all that, and I'll see you in the next video.